Everybody, and welcome to Mindset Monday. My name is Garozzo, and this is the place to be to get more inspiration, to feel happier and more fulfilled in your life. So today's session is called How to Have a Drama-Free Relationship. So nothing stings like the drama of a relationship, right? It's awful, isn't it? That feeling that you get when you just can't seem to make the other person see your side of the story. You can just picture it now, all these tensions are flaring, your cortisol levels are going through the roof, you're both seeing red, you're both projecting your wounded inner child onto the other person, you're both getting defensive, you're really unwilling to hear and see each other's pain and see each other's side of the story. And honestly, you know, sometimes there's more drama in your relationship than there is on EastEnders. True? Now, I know I joke, but you know, the drama of a relationship can be excruciating. It can be so painful, and it can really put a spanner in the works of every other area of your life. You know, going to work when your relationship is in turmoil is so difficult. Eating healthy is so difficult. Taking exercise, just generally being a nice person is so difficult when our relationships are in turmoil. And you know, your risk of cardiac disease goes up by 100% if you're in a relationship which is fraught and dysfunctional. When I heard that statistic, I nearly fell off my chair. I thought, gosh, really need to do something about this. So I'm going to start with a little snippet of my story, and then I'm going to proceed and give you my 3 top tips. So in the past, I really, you know, in my 20s and early 30s, I was never able to hold down a relationship for more than a year and a half, really. I would literally just get involved with the wrong people just because it was something to do. I would kind of rather be in the wrong relationship than be on my own and feel that sense of loneliness. So of course I had lots of fun getting involved in these relationships, as you do. You know, the first part of the relationship is brilliant, but you know, when you're breaking up, there's a lot of drama. So I was kind of addicted to this cycle of, you know, butterflies in the tummy when it was all new, and then the drama of the ending. And you know, you don't realize it, but drama in relationships can be addictive, just like negativity can be addictive, especially if that is what we've grown up with, if that is what we are used to. So fast forwarding through a couple of narcissistic relationships, which I won't mention in public, I found my man about 8 years ago, 7.5, 8 years ago, and we have had our fair share of ups and downs, believe me. We have split up and got back together twice now, but we're in a really good place, and you might have noticed me wafting around an engagement ring for the last couple of sessions, but we are actually getting married next year. So, you know, things are turning out well. Now, what have I said here? So, yes, the reason why it's going well is because we have both taken 100% responsibility for our parts to play in the breakdown and the repair of our relationship. And of course, it's not perfect. We still have dramas, but they are more like a kind of gust of wind that comes in and out, rather than a hurricane which stays for a long time, if you know what I mean. We recognise them and we're able to work through them in a much more mature way without projecting our dramas. Of course, it's not perfect, but it's a work in progress. So I've learnt a few things along the way of my experience, and also working with people in my RTT practice on their relationships. And the most life-changing book I have read on the subject is The Surrendered Wife by Laura Doyle. So you might want to get that. Men can read it too. It's not just for women. And I think you'll see why as I go along. Okay, so step number 1 to creating a drama-free relationship is to take 100% responsibility for your own part to play in the breakdown and the repair of your relationship. So you are not 50% responsible and your partner is not 50% responsible. You are both 100% responsible, excuse me, for your own part to play in the relationship. So what does this mean exactly? Well, it means that you take responsibility for your projections and you stop playing the victim. You stop being the victim and you stop this idea that you are victimized in some way. It is vitally important to get out of this poor me mode and this blaming your partner for everything that is wrong with your relationship. So, yes, I'm sure they could stop moaning. I'm sure they could stop nagging. I'm sure they could wipe the sink down after they've used it. I'm sure they could be more active in meal planning. Maybe they could go to the gym more. Maybe they could earn more money. Maybe they could be nicer to your parents. But unless your partner is abusive or highly addicted to something, they are probably a decent person who wants to try, who wants to learn, who wants to grow, and who wants to evolve. And they are probably worth holding on to. So what we're doing here in this video is looking at other better ways that we can communicate the things that we would like to change, improve, and alter in our relationships. So let me go back to that word projections. What I said was take responsibility for your projections. So what are projections? So when you project something onto another person, you're saying that another person has certain qualities, either negative or positive, usually negative in the context of a drama, whilst denying that those qualities exist within you too. But it's also you projecting the stuff that you don't really like about yourself, hidden stuff that you haven't really acknowledged, stuff that you're trying to hide onto another person. So it's a kind of defense mechanism where the ego tries to defend itself, tries to protect itself. It's kind of a way of puffing yourself up to ensure that you come across as the superior one, as the one who is slightly more authoritative, slightly better than the other person. But what it really does is it diminishes the other person because it brings them down. Now, most of us have done it. And projections can be really tricky. They can be really subtle, but they are there and they are there a lot. Now, the trick is to have this kind of elevated sense of consciousness and to notice and be aware when you are projecting, and then you can decide to stop doing it. All right. And it is a decision. Even though, right, every fiber of your being when you're in projection mode it kind of thinks that it's doing the right thing, okay? So it's a difficult one to kind of cut, but it is possible. So I have been getting used to doing this now, and it is so difficult, but you know, I don't mind now going into humble mode and kind of going, oh bum, I'm doing it again. I think I'm projecting. I'm really sorry about this. And it takes a certain amount of courage to do this, but it's totally worth doing because what happens is you create peace instead of drama. So you're taking responsibility for your wounded ego, your wounded inner child, if you like. And instead, what you're choosing to do is admit defeat. You're choosing to wave the white flag. You're choosing to surrender. Because when you do this, the other person can actually see the real you, can see the hurt you, the wounded you. They can see your pain. They can see your vulnerability. And people relate to that because they see that within themselves. They see their own pain and their own vulnerability. So then you can be a match. Tensions diffuse and it all becomes much calmer when it's just one person just has to admit that, has to cut that cycle, that negative, vicious cycle, if one person can do that, and you can choose to be the one to do that, to admit defeat, not in a sarcastic way, but in a way that is very mature and really about taking responsibility. So it's about not puffing up, not protecting your ego, but being willing to experience this vulnerability, which is really difficult actually. And for those of you who are interested in reading more around that subject, check out The Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown. It's just brilliant. She's a shame researcher, and she's done lots and lots and lots of research into human emotions. It's life-changing work. So, number 2, create a spouse-fulfilling prophecy. Now, you've heard of a self-fulfilling prophecy, I presume you have, and that's when you say something about yourself or your life and it actually becomes true. Like, oh, knowing my luck, the car's going to break down. Knowing my luck, it's going to be a shit weekend. Knowing my luck, it's going to rain when we go on holiday. Knowing my luck, we're going to lose our luggage. You know what I mean? And then, sod's law, what happens? Nothing goes right for you. All of those self-fulfilling prophecies come true. If you're putting that energy out there, you will get that energy back. It's the law of energy. It's the law of nature. There's nothing woo about it. So in our relationships, so much damage is done when we criticize our partners. And we often criticize them because we want to make them better. We can't accept them exactly the way that they are. And of course, that comes from a whole load of childhood programming. So we want them to change so that we feel better about our lives. Maybe we want them to be healthier so they don't get sick as often, so we don't get sick as often. Maybe we want them to stop being so lazy so that they can earn more money and we can have like a trophy wife or a trophy husband. Whatever it is, criticism does not work because people don't change when they're criticised. When you criticise people, they never do what you want. And if they do it unwillingly and then they'll just retreat again. So when you criticise somebody, they retreat into a hole, they shut down, they rebel against it by doing the opposite of what you want. So by far the most brilliant thing that I've learned in my relationship, I have to act as if it already is that way. So I'll say things like, oh babe, I'm so impressed, you're so tidy. And I will try to do it in a way that is very, very genuine. So I know what I'm doing. So, babe, you're my hero. It always, sorry, let me just read these things here. I got a bit distracted because I had a little phone call that came in. So let me go back and say that again. I will say things like, babe, you're so tidy, I'm so impressed. I love the way that you make the bed first thing in the morning when you get up. I love the fact that you've got so much energy. You can just get so many things done in the day. I love the fact that you're so nice to people. You're like a social magnet. People always warm to you. It's amazing. It makes me feel so safe. I love your outfit. I love your hair. Your body's really, really sexy. I love it. And it becomes true. And men love that, especially because it switches on their hero gene. And when they feel good about themselves, they do more to make you happy. It's like a magic wand. It's really, really good. And so my man has also been saying things like that to me. I can see it. I notice when he's doing it. He'll say things to me like, wow, your mood's been so much more stable recently. And I'm like, that's really amazing. And he'll say things like, I love the way that you take so much responsibility. You try so hard in your business. And I'm like, oh, wow. And it really makes you feel like you have been seen. It makes you feel like somebody really, really understands you. And there's no need to fight to be heard or to be seen or to be validated. in your relationship. There's no need to act up. There's no need to act out. There's no need to do any of this attention seeking. And it just becomes this virtuous cycle. It's amazing. Even if it feels like a lie at first, just keep saying it anyway. And often we feel like we need to have more confidence in order to say stuff like this, but just do it anyway and you will see the results work. Just keep going with it, try it out, keep going and you'll see it work, I promise. Now, a little sidebar. I want to do a little sidebar here because I want to mention exceptions to the rule. Now, if your partner is abusive or if your partner has an addiction that is preventing them from taking 100% responsibility for themselves and they're unwilling to do the inner work and you are desperately unhappy, it really might be time for you to take a bold step and move away from that relationship. So if you're staying in that relationship to support them, you might actually be supporting that habit, okay? So you see, for some people to change, it's got to get intolerably bad. It's got to hurt like hell. And I'm sure you know this from your own life. When it's got that bad, that is when you leverage change. Pain leverages change. So by staying in that relationship, that dysfunctional relationship, you might be preventing them from hitting rock bottom, which is exactly the place that they need to get that wake-up call that they need to change, okay? And you also might be preventing yourself from hitting rock bottom so that you can leverage the change that you need in order to grow and move through these relationship dramas. Now, the thing with this little note is that I'm not telling you to leave your relationship. What I'm saying is be discerning, tune in with yourself, check in with your deep, deep inner feelings, your authentic self, and find out if this relationship is right for you. Maybe you're staying in it through fear of loneliness. Yeah, that's often a big one. But when you do something positive for yourself, even though it might feel bad, something good always comes from it. And I'm speaking from experience. When Graham and I were on a break, I hit rock bottom last year. And it was the pain I needed to really, really wake up to the patterns that I was undergoing, really, to keep my relationship from growing. So thankfully, it all worked itself out. So number 3 then, expressing your desires. So what you need to do here is to really create the confidence within yourself to be able to express your desires in a way that is not demanding, in a way that's not spitting your dummy out, but in a way that already comes from a place of switched onness, of this place of contentment, of satisfaction. So people love to make other people happy, but they need to know what will make you happy so that they can give it to you. They can't guess. This is how the law of attraction works as well. You've got to know what it is you want. When you put it out there, then the universe can give it back to you. And it's the same in relationships. Your partner needs to know what you want so that they can do it in order to make you happy. So I'm sure you love making your partner happy, seeing their face light up, because giving is scientifically proven to feel better than receiving. So we know they want to give, we know you want to give. So by expressing our desires in a non-demanding way, we're giving our partner the opportunity to give, much like the way the law of attraction works, which is what I've said before. So how do we do that? And this requires confidence. And if you haven't got the confidence, you need to create the confidence somehow. So statements like, it makes me so happy when you express your true feelings. Then they know, oh, okay. I'll switch on my hero gene. and I will express myself to make them happy. That is what I would give to them. What would make me indescribably happy is to spend some quality time with you. And they go, oh, the light bulb goes on. Okay, I will do that. Nothing beats the feeling of happiness I get when you make the bed in the morning. It makes me feel like you really get me and you get how important that is to me. You can even do it for material things as well, like, oh my God, those gold earrings would make me so happy. If I had them, I'd wear them in the morning, I'd put them on in the morning, and they would just remind me of you. And every time I looked at them, they would make me so happy because I would think of you. So saying things like this so literally can require a lot of confidence. And that is why we tend to shy away from it, right? We tend to just bottle it all up because we don't have the confidence to express those desires, especially if we've got confidence blocks. So confidence blocks can really wreck a relationship. So it's so important to get to the root of these confidence blocks and understand where they came from, and then decide to work past them, to give it a try. Just give it a try. I promise you, it works a treat. I do this in my relationship all the time, and it has never been better. So that is all from me today. I would love to hear from you if any of these things worked. If any of these things didn't work, please leave a comment. But if you're struggling with any kind of issue around taking responsibility in your relationship, or the confidence needed to create those spouse-fulfilling prophecies and expressing your desires, I will be able to help you in a rapid transformational therapy session, which can be done brilliantly via Zoom. So you don't need to be living in Brighton or close to Brighton. But if you do, you can come to see me in my studio. So RTT works by clearing all of the blocks through the use of the subconscious mind. We do it whilst in hypnosis. What it does, it gives the most important operating system of all, your brain, not your computer, a massive upgrade. And for those of you who don't know, it was designed and developed by the amazing Marissa Peer, and it's really taking over conventional therapy because it's rapid and it's rooted in the science of neuroplasticity. And if you haven't heard of it yet, you soon will, because it's becoming a household name. Cool, okay, well, that is definitely it from me now. So if you want to know more, you are welcome to drop me an email at info@sallygarozzo.com, or you can send me a direct message on Facebook or Instagram. That's all for now. I will see you next week. Thank you for joining me. Lots of love. Bye.